So basically, as a team manager, you're the link between the management, the coaching staff, and the players, right? So you have to understand what uh, the targets are for the season that the management puts across, and that same thing has to be conveyed with the coaching staff. And at the same time, all of us start working towards that specific goal. I think, as I mentioned before, it's quite broad, where it has different verticals within the club itself, whether it be media operations, again, is divided into your day-to-day operations, your team operations, match day operations. And the long-term goal will always try and be either to break even every single year or to generate some profit or the other. At the same time, make sure that we develop the sport within the country. See, I think there are two parts to this. Either you continue your education in certain fields which are of interest to you, which is the main thing. Like whether you want to get into sports in future or not, I think your basic education till your degree should be done, which you feel that okay, fine, you have interest in. Because again, whether it's 2 or 3 years, that's a lot of time that you are spending in the classroom learning about things, and you'd rather have do those things what you have interest in rather than just doing something which you maybe don't know what the future holds for you. So, for example, if you stayed out of 10, if you're just focusing on sports, yeah, you rather take up certain courses which are going to take you in that direction. But if you still want to expand your knowledge and maybe understand this certain more concepts and certain more areas of education, you rather maybe take that. And then once you finish your graduation, maybe then look into venturing into maybe your sports management courses or getting into different certifications. But when it comes to operations, media, and marketing, every detail that you learn in the classroom can be implemented in the sports industry as well. So it doesn't have to be different right from there, right? But if you do want to learn certain concepts or maybe be up to date in certain regulations, whether it be in law, whether it be in the certain regulations that, say, for example, FIFA or AFC follows, then you'd rather go into a postgraduate degree, maybe in the field of sports management. So there's no shortage of courses right now in the world. It's just about finding the right course. Like, for example, we work with a PG institute called AISTS, which is in India. And like I feel from my experience with them, in terms of just working with them, having certain workshops with their students as well. So they found the right balance in terms of just making sure that the kids get the right amount of education in the classroom, as well as getting good experiences and internship programs throughout the course. There's one, Abhinav Bindra, there's a leadership course that they do every single year. That's something that I'm planning to apply for in the coming season. So I think they open every year around October, November. So that's for people who've had experience in the sporting industry and maybe just want to upskill themselves. Another one is, which you have a lot of courses under, is the Basa University that a lot of people talk about, because that's mostly online. I think it's important to understand, maybe if you have any interest, learn multiple languages, because in the sports industry you come across so many different people from so many different countries. Learning a new language always helps. Like for us, I think the main thing is, especially in this role, is you need to learn how to manage people, right? You need to understand what the people actually want that you are working for. So the players and the coaching staff is always going to be your topmost priority. So you make sure that you make them as comfortable as possible. Stuff that you know that you can provide them to make their life easier when they come into the city is always something that we try and do. I think a lot of things are learned on the go. Like you go through a lot before, like you fail a couple of times or multiple times, and then you learn from those mistakes, right? But the main thing is, as you mentioned, just be patient, which, like, this trait is what we don't see with people joining into like freshers coming into the organization at the moment. Right. So it's just about when you are managing your first team operations, your day starts off like maybe early in the morning at around 6:37. just to make sure all the nutritional aspects are covered, that the chefs are on time, the food is kept ready, because we all know how footballers are, right? Especially for us, the way we started off, and the coach that we got from England was very particular in terms of what kind of food is served, what time it's served. Even if it's a minute later, then it's a big problem, right? And these guys act like they've been starving for like a couple of days if they don't get food on time. So yeah, so it starts off like that, making sure that the breakfast is on time, especially during training days. Then you head to the training ground, make sure the training facility is all in place, your equipment is there, your kit manager has kept everything ready for the players to walk in, right? The staff comes in, you have a chat with the coach, plan the entire calendar for maybe the coming week or the coming month, depending on, like, try and create a schedule where we have the number of training sessions, number of days off. So create that calendar with the head coach. And so basically, as a team manager, you're the link between the management, the coaching staff, and the players, right? So you have to understand what uh, the targets are for the season that the management puts across, and that same thing has to be conveyed with the coaching staff. And at the same time, all of us start working towards that specific goal. So yeah, so there's just a link between all these three parties. Then we just make sure that the players have everything that they need, although they always have enough and more. It's never enough, right, for footballers. So it's like you always deal with a bunch of kids, but some are good, some are bad. So it always helps to have people like your Suri Chetris, your Gurpreet Singh Sandhus, who are senior players, who always help you in that process, because a lot of youngsters look up to them. After training finishes, we just make sure that everything is in order. The players head back home. Again, how the lunch is sorted. So all the nutritional aspects are covered in that, right? That's one aspect. Then when it comes to your medical department, you need to have at least some basic knowledge about the medical requirements of the team as well. Because as a team manager, you're dealing with different stakeholders right now, and not just one person. Like for the coaches, it's just the players and maybe the staff. But as a team manager, you need to make sure that you know the fundamentals of the medical team, the SNC team. You are going to understand a lot of elements that are required in the job, and which will help you maybe going forward when you take the next step up. So here you understand the management part of it, and then the training part of it as well. Right. So once that job is done, where all the players head back home and are resting, then you head back to the office. Just make sure everything else related to the team is all in place, right from understanding the regulations that the federation puts across every single year. Then comes to your team registrations in the league, liaising with the stakeholders of the league in terms of when the schedule is, when the calendar is, when the fixtures are going to be out, right? At the same time, trying to work out all the aspects of your season when it comes to travel. So that includes booking your tickets to go to whichever city that we're going to be traveling to, booking hotels, the best of hotels that we can maybe provide to the players. But at the same time, keeping in mind what the budget is being set by the management at the start of the season. You get to travel a lot, man. I think that's something which
That's a big.
was yeah, it's a big plus. And not just travel. I don't know if too many people can say this, but because of this, I think my first assignment as a team manager was a trip to Jordan. We're one of the very few people that can actually say that we've gone visited countries like North Korea. We've gone to countries like Turkmenistan, like Tajikistan, and to my luck, or to my bad luck, you can say, like the manager previously had places to visit, like in Singapore. So he had like Hong Kong, the best of the places that they could visit to. So the minute I stepped in, the only countries that came up were all war-ridden countries or places which had announced state of emergencies and stuff like that. But yeah, but it's always been a great experience. And again, to manage 40 people, you always feel responsible for those 40 people. So again, to have these or to go to these kind of places while having the responsibility to make sure that these guys go there, play the match, and come back is, I think, one of the best things that I've learned. As I mentioned, like the different things that come up are all like different verticals. It's not like one single thing where you just maybe a physio has to just maybe look at medical part of it, right? Or in essence, he just looks at the strength and conditioning part of it. Over here, what happens is a lot of things come at you at one time, right? Like for example, a very recent example is we've just hired an academy manager, right? So he's not come from a footballing background, but he just finished his post graduation in sports management from AISTS. Initially, it is going to be difficult for anyone joining in such an organization, because we pride ourselves to make sure that we fully utilize the resources that we have. So it's not like we to do 10 jobs, we will hire 10 different people. We will try and find a way where we can maximize the resources that we currently have. So you always have to be ready to maybe take up multiple responsibilities at the start, because that helps you learn on the go as well, rather than maybe just focusing on just one aspect of the club when you join in, and then you're just stuck in the same maybe 5 years or 6 years down the line. So yeah, so it always, I think it always helps to be a bit more organized, especially when you start, when it comes to taking down certain points, and always be open to asking certain questions to people who've already been in the game, right? Like even for me at the start of at the start of my career, I tried doing everything by myself, right? And that again leaded or ended up maybe having certain failures at the start of the season as well. At the end of it, it's not something that they're trying to take over your job or do your job for you, but at the same time, they must have gone through the same thing. They must have failed and maybe found a better solution which they can help you solve that in a shorter period of time rather than you taking a bit longer. And then that affects, and it's like a domino effect for all the other jobs during the day. People want to work in the sports industry for the fame and glamour, right? But I wouldn't say you don't get it, but at the same time, there are a lot of people who don't expect stuff that you need to do to get that, right? For them, okay, fine, you join, say, a football club, okay, fine, everything is about fans, the cameras, your TV, and stuff like that. But there are a lot of things that come along with it, which you need to be able to overcome to get to that point, right? So again, the reason why I said, fine, I don't like the spotlight much, because we rather wouldn't like to be in the spotlight because of the fact that, again, that's not our job, right? We don't want to be in front of the camera or the TV. What we want to do is make sure that everything that the guys are supposed to be doing, making sure that we make it as easy for them and they just focus on the footballing part of it, right? So yeah, so I think, and this is something that we've noticed, like in this club as well, a lot of people come in thinking, okay, fine, it's going to be a 9 to 5 job, 5 days a week. It's a football club. We are like, it's going to be all like, okay, fine, you're Sunil Shetty. He's going to walk in the office. I can get a picture with him, or Gurpreet Singh Sandhu, or Suresh Wangjam, or a couple of foreigners coming in. So it's not just that. Like for us, the first thing that we always do is when we hire someone, we will, anyone that tells us I'm a big fan of the club, that's a straight away no for us, because we don't want fans joining the club. Like, yes, there are certain fans who like the sport, but we would rather not have someone just maybe coming in just to be with players or just to be with staff, because then they forget about the dirty part of the job, wherein they're working day in, day out, maybe 7 days a week when there are match days on weekends. Especially in our organization, I'm not sure about the others, but yeah, sport is definitely growing. You are going to earn a decent salary at the end of it, right? But it depends on where you start. Like you can start from maybe a CTC of 4 to 5 lakhs, and then it can always go up to maybe even 20, 25 lakhs and even higher than that. But again, coming back to what we spoke about in terms of having patience, I think it always takes time to maybe reach to a certain level. Some might take a year, some might take 3 years, some might take 6, or some might take even 10, right? So it's up to you whether you can have the patience and maybe wait for the right opportunity to take up, because at the end of it, what you do in your job or in your role is going to define the amount of salary that you're going to get, right? Good thing about here is a lot of organizations don't have a standard corporate culture, wherein it's always maybe, I'm not sure because I've not worked in corporate, but that's what I've heard, where it's only like 7%, or there's a certain percentage increment that you get every year. But given that sports it's such is booming right now, You don't have to depend only on that. Like depending on the amount of responsibilities that you're willing to take and the kind of value that you add to the organization, you can just upscale and get a higher salary every single year. That, like, coinciding with the amount of work that you're putting in, and not just hard work and maybe slogging your on a day-to-day basis, but at the same time to see how much value you're bringing into the club or the organization. You can start yourself, and given that sports is such in such a nascent stage, no one's going to stop you from doing something that you may come up with, because there's no right way of doing things at the moment, and maybe it may come up in the next couple of years. But if you have that energy and if you have the drive to maybe come up with new ideas, do a lot more things, your salary will definitely shoot up maybe earlier than you expected. Like I know for a fact, because we're on the lookout for to add people on board on a regular basis. Like even now, we have an opening for like a business development executive for soccer schools, like for a marketing assistant coming on board. So requirements are plenty, but the problem where we face is to find the right candidate. The industry is growing rapidly right now, and I can say, and I've seen a lot of people jump careers, wherein there was one guy who's worked in the accounting like side of things, and like I think he was a CEO and stuff. After 10 years of experience, he wants to take up a job in management in a football club. So people have understood like the kind of uh, strides that the sports industry is making, and they want to get away from their usual desk jobs or day-to-day jobs and try to explore something new. So there is always a requirement for people, especially over here, and there's a lot of scope for people in different verticals. So you just don't need to be specialized in a certain front to maybe join the club or any organization. You can come from different backgrounds of media. You can come from background of marketing or accounts. You'll always find a role in the sports industry with your background itself, right?